For years, food was never just food for me. It was comfort, it was reward, it was what I reached for when I was stressed or bored or just exhausted from the day. When I started Mounjaro, and I genuinely thought that once the hunger went quiet, all of that would just go away too. It doesn't. Hi everyone, I'm Helen. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I share my honest experience of being on Mounjaro, the weekly weigh-ins, the wins, the harder days, and the conversations I think that we should actually be having and that we need to have about being on this journey, about what it's like taking Mounjaro. Today is one of those conversations because after just over a year on Mounjaro and losing a little over 7 stone, the biggest lessons haven't just been about the numbers on the scale. They've been about understanding what this medication actually does and, more importantly, what it doesn't do. So I want to talk about 3 things today: appetite control, habit change, and the emotional work that sits underneath, because in my experience, those 3 things together are what this journey is really made of. So what does Mounjaro do? I think the main thing is the appetite shift. So let's start with that, because that's the genuinely remarkable part. For a lot of people, and absolutely for me, one of the most powerful effects is what I can only describe as the quietening of food noise. And I'm sure you've heard about that a lot, right? Before I started taking this medication, food took up mental space. It'd be what I was thinking about. I'd be thinking about what I'd already eaten, what I was going to eat next, whether I'd been good or bad that day. This constant, exhausting background chatter that never really switched off. What Mounjaro did, and for me it was fairly quick, was turn that volume right down. My hunger signals changed. I'd get full more quickly. There was this natural pause between the urge to eat and the actual decision whether I wanted to. And for someone who's spent years feeling like food was in the driving seat, that pause felt life-changing. For the first time in a really long time, I didn't feel like I was constantly fighting myself. But, and this is the important bit, that's what the medication does. It creates space. It creates a change with the physical signals. It takes the white knuckle grip off the steering wheel, but it doesn't drive the car for you. And I guess that brings us to what Mounjaro doesn't do. Habits still have to be built, and this is the part that surprised me the most, and I think that it surprises a lot of people. When you first hear about Mounjaro, or you're watching videos like this thinking about starting, there can be this impression that once the medication kicks in, everything just falls into place. Everything's going to be fine and you're going to lose the weight and everything's going to be perfect. And look, the medication absolutely helps. I'm not downplaying that for a second. But habits are still habits. You are on a diet. You still choose what you put on your plate. You still decide whether you're moving your body. You still need to build routines around sleep, water, meals. You still have to show up for yourself consistently, imperfectly, on the days where you feel brilliant and on the days you really don't. What the medication does is make these choices feel more accessible. It lowers your resistance. It takes away that feeling of constantly battling yourself, of swimming against the tide, but you do still need to swim. That's still up to you to do that. You still need to make those choices. And here's the thing I've genuinely come to see, that's a gift, because these habits that I've built over the last year, you're building those while the medication is supporting you, but you're not outsourcing that progress. You're building a new relationship with yourself, with food, with movement. These are new habits that are going to stick. And because they're habits, they've got a real chance of actually sticking. You can't just, or you shouldn't just take this medication, lose the weight, and then carry on as you were. That's not going to stick. That's not going to help you long term. It takes time and patience and letting go of the idea that this should be perfect. The thing that's been the hardest for me is the emotional side of things. And this is the bit that I've heard nobody else talk about. And it's the thing I feel most strongly about. And if you're not taking anything else from this video, I hope you take this. Because if you've spent years, maybe decades, using food, as I did, for emotional reasons, for comfort when life gets hard, for celebration, for boredom, for stress, for numbing out those patterns, they don't just disappear when you start an injection. The medication can quieten hunger. It can't quieten your inner critic. It doesn't erase years of self-doubt. It doesn't automatically rebuild trust you've lost in yourself after years of starting again every single Monday. It doesn't magic away the complicated feelings that come with changing something as deeply personal as your relationship with your body and with food. You still have to work on that. That still has to take place. And for me, it has been really hard, but I think it's the most important thing to kind of tackle so that this lasts. There have been weeks where the scale hasn't moved and I've had to choose not to spiral. There's been difficult days where the old urge to reach for food has shown up, even with quieter hunger signals, because honestly, it was never really about hunger in the first place. Learning to notice that, to get curious about it instead of critical, to ask myself, what do I actually need right now? That's what this whole process has been about. And those shifts, they don't come from an injection. They don't come from taking any GLP-1. It comes through habits. It comes through working out what's really going on. It comes from reflection, from genuinely being gentle with yourself, from deciding over and over again on the ordinary, unremarkable days that you're worth it. For me, that was harder than I thought, and it certainly is a lot harder than it sounds. So why am I telling you all of this? Not to put you off, not to make it sound harder than it is, because it takes time, and you have time. I'm telling you because understanding what Mounjaro is and what it isn't completely changes how you approach the whole process. If you're expecting it to fix everything, you might find yourself feeling like something's wrong when the harder emotional stuff shows up, like the medication isn't working, like there's something wrong with you. But if you go in understanding that Mounjaro is a tool, a genuinely brilliant, life-changing tool that creates space so that you can do the work more effectively, everything looks different. It's not a magic fix, it's a door that opens. What you do with the room on the other side, that's up to you. Mounjaro didn't replace my effort. It made the effort feel possible for the first time in years, and that's a difference that's changed everything. If you're just starting your Mounjaro journey, or you're somewhere in those early weeks wondering why it feels more complex than you expected, I hope this helps. It's not just about the weight, it really truly isn't. It's about understanding yourself better, building new patterns, and learning to be a little kinder to yourself than you've probably been in a very long time. That takes time, but it is so worth it. I'd love to hear where you are in your own journey. Are you just starting out? Are you a few months in? Have you noticed the things cropping up that I've talked about today? The food noise shifting, the habits being harder than you expected, the emotional stuff coming up? Drop me a note in the comments or drop me a personal message. I read every single one of your comments and I genuinely love hearing from you. If you're not already subscribed, I'd love to have you here. I post weekly weigh-ins and have these honest conversations like this one every week. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.